Hello everyone and welcome back to Saya no Uta. And in the last episode we got the first ending of this visual novel where every main character died except Koji. And now we are here back at the second multiple choice, and this time instead of calling Ryoko, I'll choose to call Fuminori, which will probably mean that Koji won't have Ryoko's assistance when he's facing Fuminori and Saya, so it probably won't end well for him. And this might actually lead to a quote-unquote good ending for Fuminori and Saya. Well, anyway, we'll see. Let's call Fuminori. It's time to finish this. Just as he promised earlier, Koji calls Fuminori again. The call goes through immediately. He must have been waiting for it. As soon as Koji responds, a shrill ringing fills the house. Startled, Koji spins round and looks into the hallway. The house phone is flashing to signal an incoming call. Koji fell for it. Fuminori is the one calling the house, and now he knows exactly where Koji is. He must have predicted that this would be Koji's first stop and that Koji would call him upon finding it empty. Koji keeps his voice bold to conceal his horror. When did Fuminori become so cunning? He killed one? Oh, he's talking about his neighbor. Fuminori replies unapologetically, his tone upbeat. Koji no longer feels sadness or horror when faced with Fuminori's inhumanity. There is only the cold desire to kill the creature speaking such revolting words with his friend's voice. Fuminori mutters, seeming somehow embarrassed. Koji had already abandoned hope, but it's still a shock to hear of his lover's brutal end. Fuminori's dismissive words further sharpen Koji's bloodlust. It's obvious that this deal is a sham. In all likelihood, Fuminori is planning to kill him and bury his secrets forever. Moreover, Koji doubts that Yo is even alive. Her meat could very well be somewhere in the refrigerator right in front of him. However, Koji isn't particularly interested in Fuminori's true intentions. After all, he has no intention of making a trade either. His only goal is to get close enough to destroy Fuminori and whatever is pulling his strings. Fuminori hangs up without waiting for Koji's response. Perhaps Fuminori too has sensed his opponent's intent. If so, then he has realized that Koji is not just the hunted, but the hunter as well. So, we are two duelists trying to gauge each other's moves. Koji smiles grimly as he pockets his phone. It's astounding how much their relationship has changed. The question is whether or not to comply with the 7 o'clock rendezvous agreement. If this were a serious negotiation, then it would be wise to avoid preempting Fuminori in any way that could provoke his anger. What Koji and Fuminori are really doing, however, is trying to lure each other into a deadly trap. Koji does know what Fuminori plans to do between now and then, but he's not about to let his enemy keep the initiative. The fierce bloodlust that has taken root in his heart is more than enough to energize his exhausted body. Koji leaves the death-filled house, his stride more determined than before. Today was the first time I've driven since my accident last summer. The proposition was always too dangerous to consider, given my inability to recognize roads and cars. Things have changed, however, in the 3 months I've had to adapt to my condition. I know what cars and pedestrians look like now, and even though I can't exactly see colors, I've learned to decipher lights and turn signals. Wait a minute. I read that before. Can I skip this? Skip. Apparently. Now, this seems to be a new line.
今朝あれから電話があってさ、とりあえず関係ない場所に誘い出してある。少しじらしてやろうと思ってね。
やっぱり暗くなってからがいいよね。
ああ、頃合いを見計らってここに誘い出して仕留めよう。ここなら誰にも気づかれないからね。
せっかく人間一人分の肉が仕入れられるのに、ここだと腐らせちゃうね。冷蔵庫ないし。
That's also a line we already read. Right? Yes. Okay, here's a new scene. Koji has nothing to do but wait. He has spent almost half a day in the dark, empty study, breathing stale air choked with mold as he strains his ears for the slightest hint of movement below. Few people could endure such a vigil, but Koji has accomplished it without complaint. If anything, the suffering is welcome, for it keeps his nerves honed to a razor's edge. Without a doubt, his single-minded focus is the only thing allowing him to push the limits of his stamina. Koji understands this and embraces the pain. His closest friend has shattered his world like glass, and now Koji feels only hate towards the madness that has replaced it, and towards himself for allowing it to happen. Self-loathing is a more reliable source of willpower than any faith or resolve, no matter how noble. When he arrived at the Ogai house, Koji snuck inside carefully, hoping to perhaps take his enemy by surprise. It was only after he got inside that he realized the house was still abandoned. Even so, Koji was sure that Fuminori would arrive earlier than promised in order to set up an ambush. However, the light streaming through the windows turned red, then faded to darkness with no sign of anyone coming. Koji's patience has grown weaker and weaker by the moment. And now the appointed time has arrived. Just as Koji's frustration is about to peak, his phone begins to vibrate and flash. It's from Fuminori. He's calling rather than show up himself. Rage threatens to overwhelm him for an instant, but Koji manages to keep his voice calm as he answers.
どういうつもりだ、Fuminori?
いやね、まさか待ち伏せなんていう無駄なことをして神経すり減らしてないか。お前のことが心配になってさ。
Fuminori says, chuckling scornfully.
遅くなったが、そろそろ本当の待ち合わせ場所を教えておかなくちゃと思ってさ。間に合ったかい？
ふざけた真似を。
まあ怒るなよ。当然の用心だろう。
Fuminori laughs with unrestrained malevolence, as though to emphasize that he's seen through Koji's plans.
お前が大貝教授の家まで来てるんなら、そこからほんの少し先、歩いていける距離の場所だよ。僕と陽はそこにいる。まずは車に戻ってカーナビを見ろ。所番長教えてやるから。
今度こそ信用できるっていう保証は？
疑わしければ来なくていい。尻尾を巻いて逃げるがいいさ。
Fuminori hangs up immediately after speaking his challenge. Koji leaps out of his chair and kicks it across the room, unable to find any other outlet for his rage. He has no choice but to do what Fuminori says. His stamina is already exhausted, only his obsession is keeping him going. If he allows himself even a moment's rest, he fears that he'll never again find the strength to face this madness. Tonight is the only chance to kill Fuminori. Koji knows, of course, that his enemy is planning to ambush him. Fuminori isn't going to fight fair, but then neither is Koji. With the unsteady stride of a man half asleep, Koji leaves the Ogai house and heads for his accord. Only the base of these foothills has been developed for housing. The address Fuminori gave Koji is outside of that area, in the thick forest that still covers the mountain's face. His car's GPS shows a road that leads nowhere, but according to Fuminori, there should be an old abandoned sanatorium there. It's definitely a place that no one could find, not even by accident. Maybe this next stop really will be the last. Koji drives up the steep incline, soon leaving the residential neighborhood behind. Even though the hands of progress are right at its doorstep, the undeveloped forest is darker than he expected. This looks like a great place to live in secret, or to kill someone and hide the body. Places like this, lost and forgotten, aren't found only in deep jungles and hidden valleys. Holes in the world are everywhere, even in the midst of civilization. We already read that, didn't we? Skip. Or not. Well, maybe I just skip this manually until I find a line that I don't recognize. Okay, now until this point everything happened like last time. Yo appeared and Koji killed her. Because to him she was just an unrecognizable mass of flesh. And then he started fighting with Fuminori, getting the upper hand, and then Saya appears. And now things should happen differently. Vincent Koji panics at the unexpected sensation. Something soft yet strong winds itself around his right leg and drags him to the floor before he can resist. He twists his body and tries to swing the steel pipe at the unseen enemy behind him, but his right hand too is seized by the same flexible force. He wasn't able to feel it through his pants, but now his blood turns to ice at the cold, slimy sensation of the thing wrapped around his uncovered wrist. That monster's still alive?
Saya.
Fuminori says encouragingly. Even while kneeling on the floor, his face twisted in pain, he manages to a terrible, victorious grin. Saya. This monster is Saya. Koji struggles desperately to free himself from the creature's slimy grip, but more tentacles swarm over his body, rendering him helpless. The horror has already driven Koji half mad. Just imagining the creature's appearance is enough to send him into a mindless panic. His scream is suddenly cut off as a slimy appendage seizes his throat. This most deadly tentacle isn't just cutting off his windpipe, it's trying to snap his neck, and it's getting tighter. My mind hazy from the pain, I watch as Saya feasts upon her slain prey. Yep, Koji died. We've won. It was hard and I wasn't able to do it alone, but together we have defeated our enemy. The price was steep. At least 2 of my ribs are broken, sending a sharp pain shooting through my chest every time I breathe. And then there's Yo. I didn't expect her to fall to Koji so easily. I suppose that, unlike Saya, she might have been unfamiliar with how to use her new body in combat. My injury must have fueled Saya's anger. Her slaughter of Koji was merciless and complete. As soon as her prey stopped moving, she sank her teeth into his vital organs and ruthlessly extinguished the last embers of life. I wonder how that looked from Koji's perspective. You know, Saya killing Koji. Though her brutal, grisly actions were unbecoming of her girlish appearance, Saya's face, covered in blood and gore, was that of a victorious queen of beasts lording over her defeated foe. There was something noble and sacred about her primal ferocity that made me reluctant to disturb her. I don't know how long I've been sitting here watching Saya feast. I've nearly fainted from the pain several times. To be honest, I'm not used to violence. The wounds I suffered in the car accident were worse, of course, but these broken ribs are the most severe injury that's ever been deliberately inflicted upon me. You would think that Saya could show a little more concern for my condition. Koji is already as dead as can be, so there's no reason for her to be so greedy. I suddenly realized that Saya has stopped eating. Now she's lying on her back, rolling from side to side. Has she eaten too much? It's been several days since we've had fresh, unfrozen meat, so I understand where her enthusiasm is coming from. But still, I'm wounded here. She could give me a hand. Because I'm preoccupied with my own selfish wants, I'm slow to realize that something is wrong. Saya isn't resting. She's trembling. In agony. What? Why? My blood goes cold and the pain from my broken ribs is suddenly forgotten.
Saya!
I jump up, run to her side and cradle her fallen body in my arms. Her face is pale and drenched in sweat, and her half-crossed eyelids and lips are shivering like she has a fever. What's going on? Was she wounded in the fight? Could the meat she just ate have been poisoned somehow? I don't understand. All I know is that something terrible is happening.
Saya! Saya!
The only thing I can do is call her name with all of my strength. Saya slowly opens her eyes and gazes vacantly into my face.
ふみのり、ごめん。大丈夫。大丈夫だよ。ただちょっと痛いだけ。
何なんだ。どうしたんだ、さや。しっかりしろ。
There's no way she's fine. It's glaringly obvious that her condition is dire. Even so, I'm the only one who's panicking. Saya's expression is serene, as though she understands everything that is happening to her. She even smiles softly up at me.
びっくりしちゃった。まさか本当にこんなに早く時が来るなんて。
What's she talking about? Does her lifespan end? I might lose Saya. The thought is unbearable. Terror and despair are quickly overwhelming me, a feeling of utter helplessness that I cannot resist.
怖がらないで。昼間言ったよね。これが印。
Ah, yeah, right, the sign. She was talking about that before.
みのりと私のたった一つの希望。
どういうことだよ。わけわかんないよ、さや。しっかりしてくれよ。
Saya answers my tearful entreaty with a smile like that of a mother comforting her child.
さやはね、頑張るって決めたの。だってふみのりはさやのこと可愛いって綺麗だってそう言ってくれたから。
やめようよ、さや。
Whatever is happening, I can't just sit by and watch as it causes Saya such agony.
もういい。無茶しないでくれ。何をするつもりか知らないが、さやが苦しむ姿なんて見たくない。
ひどいな。ふみのり、分かってよ。
In a soft voice, she reveals her secret.
生まれるんだよ。さやとふみのりの子供たちが。
Oh, so she's pregnant. But she doesn't look like she's pregnant. For a moment, my mind goes completely blank.
そんな、いつの間に。
私もね、びっくり。ねえ、ふみのり。
Saya's labored breathing speaks to the terrible pain her tiny body is suffering. Even so, she wraps her arms tightly around my neck.
外に連れてって。広いところ、空の下に。
I nod. What else can I do? If I speak, I'm afraid that I'll be unable to hold back my tears. I mustn't cry, not when Saya is facing her torment so bravely. It feels like Saya is burning up in my arms, and I fear that the terrible convulsions that shoot through her at intervals will tear her frail body to pieces. Praying for her safety, I scoop Saya up and carry her swiftly out of the ruined building. Maybe the cold night air will soothe her fever, but that hope is futile, cruelly dashed as her breathing grows shallow and she moans through bluish lips.
さや、外だよ。
In response to my call, she opens her eyes once more. Her gaze is cloudy and unfocused. She can no longer see. Nevertheless, Saya looks at me. I can tell that she is imagining my expression where my face should be.
約束した。これが最後のプレゼント。喜んでくれるといいな。
嬉しいよ。もちろん。
It takes every ounce of my willpower, but I manage to make my voice light and cheerful. On Saya's mind's eye, I know that I'm smiling. She won't have to see my face streaked with tears.
みのり、私を愛してくれたあなたにこの星をあげます。
This planet? What? Saya's whisper is weak and pained, but there is ecstasy in her voice. Ecstasy and joy. Her back suddenly shifts, then bulges outward.
この世界はきっと綺麗な場所になるから。
She whispers in exultation.
さやとふみのりのためだけの世界に。
What? And then Saya blooms. How else can I describe it? What is happening? Flower petals, long and white, they spread from her back like the wings of a newly formed butterfly. The brilliant glow comes from the countless tiny scales that cover each petal like particles of light.
さよならなのか
I ask her, careful to keep the sorrow out of my voice.
ううん、違う。これは始まり。
Saya's pain must already have left her, for her expression is infinitely peaceful and content.
私と文則の世界の
What is happening here? The radiant motes rise on the wind, painting rivers of light in the frozen winter sky. It is beautiful, overwhelmingly, painfully beautiful. Singing victoriously of their freedom, the shining seeds of life are released into this vast and fertile land. Their song heralds the coming of the new world and the destruction of the old. It is a boundless healing. It is an eternal blessing. We shall fill the world with our joy.
これからはずっと一緒だね
Embracing Saya's pitiful shrunken body, I gaze into the shining sky and let my tears flow freely. Thank you. Thank you for this final gift, Saya. She was worried at first how long the preserved foods in the underground storeroom would last her, but now it seems that her fears were unfounded. It's the liquor she should have worried about. By savoring each drop of spiritus as though it were her last, she thought that she could make her flask hold out a little longer, but she must have been consuming more each day than she realized. Who can blame her? What are they talking about here? Ryoko? There's no way that she could have gotten through this without the intoxicating effects of distilled alcohol. After Ryoko chased useless emotions like hope and despair from her mind, she found herself spending the most peaceful days of her life. As resignation set in, even hate and fear left her. Now she feels only awe for what Ogai Masahiko did and respect for the depth of his intellectual curiosity. After all, neither she nor this world has any reason left to deny his research. Alone in the mountain cabin, Ryoko killed time by bringing order to the documents that Ogai had left behind. She took the scattered and ciphered papers and rewrote them in a more readable fashion, eliminating redundancies and adding indexes and tables of contents. Ryoko did not intend for anyone to read them, of course. She knew full well how meaningless her actions were. With her reason to live gone, however, having something to devote her mind to was at least some relief. And now, as the last congratulatory drops of spiritus vodka burn their way down Ryoko's throat, all of Ogai's research lies before her in a single volume. She has finally finished transcribing and annotating the last of his writings. Enjoying the satisfaction of a pointless job well done, she idly pages through the manuscript that she just completed. I shall conclude by summarizing my theory as it currently stands. The life form that I named Saya did not appear in our universe by chance, nor even as a result of my summoning, but because of the instincts that were programmed directly into her biology. So she was summoned. She was created to fulfill the same ultimate purpose that all life shares: reproduction. Saya and her kind procreate by spreading their seeds to other dimensions. What is the possibility that they will discover a doorway to another world? Even if they succeed in doing so, the chance of that world being suitable for reproduction must be even more minute. In order to make the most of that scant probability, evolution has granted them a certain advantage, none other than the astonishing ability that I have witnessed in Saya. To wit, they select the most prosperous life form that they encounter, take control of it, and in doing so gain dominance over that planet's biosphere. In other words, they hijack the entire species. They do this by analyzing their target's genome, then overwriting its genetic code to remake it in their own image. Saya's biology is more than capable of inducing such dramatic and widespread mutation. There is a significant probability that the target species will have evolved into intelligent life. This element may be necessary to gaining control of the planet's environment. Therefore, Saya and her sisters also plunder their target's culture and psychology. Her extraordinary learning ability and intellectual curiosity are likely instinctive tools that enable her to inherit the target's species' entire wealth of knowledge. In fact, it may be that Saya's kind has always had its sights set on intelligent life. Perhaps they wait patiently for some foolish, extra-dimensional species to gain knowledge of other worlds and, in attempting to satisfy its curiosity, make contact with the outer universe in which they dwell, rather than send Saya and her kin on her dimensional journeys with only luck and their own strength to depend on. Would not waiting for such contact greatly increase the chance of finding a world worthy of conquest? Just as I, having acquired the Silver Key, fancied myself an explorer of the unknown, how many intelligent lifeforms on other worlds have thoughtlessly congratulated themselves for discovering Saya's sisters? Taken by the sudden urge to go outside for a change, Ryoko gathers up the manuscript and heads to her car, which is parked in the front yard. She has completed her self-imposed final duty. There is no longer any reason for her to remain holed up in the mountain cabin. She drives a little farther up the mountain to an open place that offers a scenic view of the land below. In the early days of the change, Ryoko often came to this spot to watch helplessly over the mutating city. The one flaw in my theory comes from none other than Saya herself. After using me to learn everything she could about humanity, Saya should finally have been prepared to begin the last stage of her invasion. However, she never carried out her mission. Why? I hypothesize that Saya was an irregular among her kind. It is said that the human race's intelligence has allowed us to conquer our natural instincts. Perhaps in absorbing the human psyche, Saya accidentally inherited the disease that infects our entire species. What is human love, really? What behavior could be more of a hindrance to the efficient propagation of a species? I am reminded of how, at the end of her studies, Saya consumed vast quantities of romantic literature from all over the world. She tried to understand romance as an integral part of the human reproductive process. As a result, she might have unwittingly nurtured her own unparalleled reproductive abilities. After all, she had not known love. She had come to this world to rule it in our place and had studied humanity to fulfill that purpose, but ultimately she could not share love with a human. Without love's blessing, Saya was unable to find the passion to fill this world with her kind. In learning all that there was to know about humanity, she herself had become hopelessly human. Weary of loneliness, she despaired of the world. How pure her maiden soul must have been. If this hypothesis is correct, then it means that I have failed as her teacher. I cannot help but feel ashamed for having spoiled such an extraordinary organism. Saya. Next to Ogai Masahiko, Ryoko now knows more about that entity than anyone else. No. When the young man named Sakisaka Fuminori is added to the running, perhaps she only comes in third. In the end, she never encountered the creature face to face. She would like to have met it once, though. If Ogai's analysis of Saya's psychology is correct, then it must have been Sakisaka who restored her desire to conquer the world. Perhaps, as Sakisaka's chief physician, Ryoko played some role in bringing that lonely young man and Saya together, in which case she should at least have had the right to attend their wedding to end all weddings. She might even have charged them a matchmaker's fee. Oh, what? I have a dream. The one day my daughter will know the blessings of love. I pray that there will come a day when her heart burns with the flames of passion, and her world becomes bright and joyous once more. When that day comes, Saya, your terrible, irresistible purpose will surely consume us, that your progeny may flourish. The whole world will know your love and be reborn. Ah, what wonders the future holds. I deeply regret that I must end my life before I can see that day come, that the footsteps of those who would destroy my dream grow closer by the hour. If I seal my lips in death, then their grasping hands will not reach you. Please forgive me, my daughter, for leaving you alone in this barren world. With the knowledge that you now possess, I know that you will find your own path. The radiance of your hard-won soul shall light the road ahead. Have no fear, have no doubts. March onward until you reach your answer at last. And I, Saya, will dream forever of the world that you will create. Perhaps it is the isolated environment or the mountain air. Maybe she's just more resistant to the change. Whatever the case, Ryoko has not yet become as inhuman as the creatures wriggling through the city below. She does not know exactly how many people on this planet could still be called human, but she is one of what must be only a handful of survivors who are left to watch over the end of mankind. Of course, it's only a matter of time before she changes too. It has been 3 days since she chopped off her right hand, which had ceased to function as anything resembling a human hand, but the itching that has spread across her entire back is growing more intolerable by the hour. She could look in a mirror to see what she is becoming, but she doubts that it would make her happy. Ryoko thinks that maybe it would be best to just go to sleep here, with the world spread out before her. When she awakens, perhaps she will be ready to descend the mountain and join in the city's revelries, or maybe she won't even need such resolve anymore. Whatever the case, Ryoko thinks dreamily as she licks the very last drop from her flask. Even after I stop being human, I hope I'll still enjoy the taste of booze. Well, that was an ending. It seemed like the world is now slowly but surely transforming into the world that Fuminori saw from his perspective, due to Saya's spores, I guess. Which means from Fuminori's perspective, the world is turning normal again. That's why Saya said it's a present for him. But what happened to Saya? She is dead now, isn't she? Well, maybe not exactly dead, but she turned into this flower thing. Who knows? I guess there's a lot of room for interpretation, huh? Well, there's one ending left, and we'll reach that one next time on Saya no Uta. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Saya no Uta, and we're here at the first multiple choice. And this episode might actually be the last one of this playthrough, because there's only one ending left now, and we are going to get it today, so let's choose Want It All Back.
そりゃもちろん戻れるっていうのなら元に戻りたいと思う。
I've never wondered if there could be any other answer. I stopped dwelling on this question a long time ago, and if I'd been asked before I met Saya, I wouldn't have hesitated. But what about now? What does it mean to wish for the past, and what could it do to me and Saya? As soon as these questions occur to me, my true feelings become unclear. The hurried answer I just gave her was less certain than I thought.
そうよね。
Saya smiled softly, her expression an unreadable mixture of what seemed to be sorrow and relief. Seeing it fills me with sudden unease, as though I've just wounded her deeply with my careless words.
なさや、僕は。
いいの、文則。もう何も言わないで。
Saya silences me with another kiss and thrusts her tongue into my mouth with even greater passion than before. As the sweet softness of her tongue clouds my mind, I begin to feel an urgent need to say what she prevented me from saying, to speak those most important words.
Saya.
I can't speak for some reason, and my mind is hazy. My consciousness is slipping away as the euphoria from her kiss spreads to my entire body.
おやすみなさい、文則。
I hear Saya whisper softly from far away. She's healing him right now, isn't she?
心配しないで。次に目が覚めるときには何もかもが終わっているから。
Wait. I have to tell you something before I sleep. Just one thing. My efforts are meaningless, however, as oblivion calls me into its embrace. Yup, everything is normal now. Oh, there is a puddle of blood here. When I awoke, the first thing that greeted me was a terrible stink. Mr. Suzumi's body was covered in flies, and I could smell the rotten stench that you would expect from a corpse. The night had ended, but Saya was nowhere to be seen in the morning light. Aside from the blood-covered floor, the kitchen looked the same as it had before the accident. In the den, however, the colors that had been so soothing the day before now served as a stark reminder of what a distant world I'd been living in. Despite knowing that it would be futile, I wandered the house searching for Saya. For almost an hour I tried in vain to deny reality. Then I called the police. When the operator answered, I couldn't stop myself from crying. It had been such a long time since I heard a human voice other than Saya's. As became clear later, Mr. Suzumi had murdered his family before I killed him. Unable to give the police a satisfactory explanation, I was arrested for all 3 murders, and when they found the remains of Takahata Omi in my house, a 4th was added to the charges, along with 1 count of mutilating a corpse. During my interrogation, I told them everything exactly as it had happened, in every detail. The detectives didn't believe me, of course, but the psychiatrist who came later did. He had me moved from the jail to a much cleaner white room. That's right, this room looks just as white to me as it does to everyone else. In the end, they declared me incapable of answering for my actions. Everything that had happened to me was real, but part of a reality incompatible with the rest of the world. So the doctors gave me a tiny space all to myself, a place where I could live in my own reality. I am sad that I wasn't believed, but I know that it couldn't be helped. In this world, reality is what the majority says it is, and I had the misfortune to step outside of that box. The walls of my room are undeniably white. That, at least, I can be thankful for, as I live all the rest of my life here. Everyone said that there had never been any girl named Saya. Well, so be it. Saya probably was never part of their world. But why shouldn't I be able to hear Saya's voice here in my room? This is my world, after all, a continuation of the very real time that we spent together. How long did I wait with such thoughts floating through my mind? One night I awoke to the sound of something crawling down the hallway. It's Saya, isn't it? She's come to visit him. The sound would not normally have woken me, but I must have had a premonition that night. Sleeping lighter than usual, I had waited for her arrival, and so I knew instantly that it was her.
Saya なんだね。
She did not answer, but I could feel her outside my door, struggling with some internal conflict.
なあ、どうして声を聞かせてくれないんだ?
She just did, didn't she? After a long silence, something small slid through the narrow bars of my peephole. It was a cell phone, the screen already showing a notepad with freshly entered text. My voice will sound strange to you. I couldn't suppress a chuckle at Saya's uncharacteristic display of shyness.
そんなこと、僕は全然気にならないよ。君の声が聞きたい。姿が見たい。
After a short pause, the phone returned to my side. Please, let me stay the Saya you remember.
そうか。
I'd started to suspect that it might be so. In the hell my eyes had made of the world, Saya alone had looked normal. I'd thought that she was somehow unique. In truth, however, she had probably been a different kind of unique than I'd imagined. It wasn't that my senses had distorted her appearance, but that she had been so unusual as to seem normal to my twisted mind. Saya's true form was something other than what I had known. Now, however, I could see her as she really was. But Saya didn't want that, and it was not for me to question the workings of her heart. I just had to accept that girls need to keep some things private.
あの日君に言おうとしてたこと、保留になってたの、覚えてる?
I slid the phone back to her. I was hoping you'd forgotten. I smiled wryly at the text on the screen, wondering if she really thought me so heartless.
忘れたりするもんか。
No one was listening, but still, it would have been embarrassing to speak the rest aloud, so this time I typed it into the phone. GHIJKLMNOTUVDE WXIMNOTU. I slid the phone back through the slot. Wait a minute, if you put the last letter of each line together, it forms I love you. I could sense her trembling outside my door. I couldn't see her or hear her, but still I knew. Saya was crying.
僕は構わなかったんだよ。
Perhaps my words offered no comfort, spoken so late. Even so, I was ready. I had wanted to return to my old life, true, but I would have abandoned that wish for Saya. I know that I would have gone with her, hand in hand, as far as we could, even to the most forbidden of places. Saya too must have known that I was prepared, and because she knew, she stopped me from saying those words. If I had spoken that oath, there would have been no going back. I'm sorry I was a coward. Seeing the words on the screen, I shook my head.
君だけが悪いんじゃない。あの時僕に迷いがなければ、君だって勇気を出せた。そうだろう。
I was afraid of you, of how you were changing because of me.
仕方ないさ。
Saya couldn't bring herself to take everything from me, and I couldn't bring myself to give up everything for her. We were too weak to find happiness.
さやはこれからどうするんだい？
I'll keep searching for my dad. You know how to send me back to where I came from. But your dad is already dead.
そうか。帰りたいんだね、さやは。
A short time passed with no words or messages exchanged. I wonder how many times in that brief silence yes and no changed places in her mind. Yeah. When the phone finally returned, the characters on the screen seemed strangely uncertain.
そうか。お父さん、見つかるといいね。
I'll do my best. The time had come for our parting. She had chosen her path, and I had given my blessing. There was nothing more to be said.
もしも気が変わったら、僕はずっとここにいるから、いつでも来ていいからね。
I will. Thank you. Goodbye, Fuminori. I read her final message and returned the phone to the other side.
さようなら、さや。
She gently slapped my door in response, and then I hear the sound of her sliding off down the hallway. And I was left alone in the silence of the night. Ever since that day, I have been waiting. Perhaps Saya really did return to where she came from. Perhaps she is still wandering today, looking for her father. It must be hard, she must be lonely. When she can no longer stand being alone, she will surely return to me. I am the only one who will comfort her and whisper sweet nothings in her ear. And so I wait, dreaming of her face and her voice, I wait. Forever in my wide world. Well then, that was the last of the 3 endings. And to be honest, I think that one was the most emotional for me, for some reason. I almost shed a few manly tears. Anyway, that's it. That was Saya no Uta. You know, I started this playthrough because Saya no Uta seemed to be one of the most popular VNs out there. And I just wanted to know why it's so popular. And I think now I can see why. Because although it has some elements that I really don't like in general, the rape scenes to be specific, it does have a really interesting story. The kind that you don't see often in the realm of visual novels. So yeah, I liked it. It was very interesting. Okay then, another playthrough has come to its end. Thanks for watching everyone. And until the next video. Bye bye!